Hello dudes, here I have Spider-Man for the PlayStation 1, and there's an extremely annoying dog downstairs who does not get enough attention, so ignore him. This game was released back in the year 2000. I was 8 years old when this came out. Spider-Man was definitely popping at the time. Venom was definitely my favorite character, especially like along Carnage. There was a Super Nintendo game called Maximum Carnage, and that game was just freaking awesome for its time. This game, as a kid, I adored it. I loved it with all my heart. It was so much fun. You know, there had never been a Spider-Man game like this invented at that time in the year 2000. You know, this one, you could web swing, you could shoot webs at bad guys, you could, you know, jump around, kick them and punch them, and you can even get web gloves that do more damage. And let me tell you, damn, like this game was a challenge too. Even as a 27-year-old man, this game was a challenge to beat. You got your standard black and white manual. It's just got a little bit of information, little bio on the characters. Our hero, Peter Parker. Well, I guess just a buy one Peter, no one else matters. You could even put in some cheats in this game for a little bit of extra bonus stuff. Super cool, super cute. Activision and Neversoft worked on this game. So it's the same dudes that worked on Tony Hawk's series. And I think they, if I'm not mistaken, I think they made Spider-Man like an unlockable character in one of the Tony Hawk games. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think they did that. Or maybe it was Jango Fett or Boba Fett, I don't know. And Darth Maul. Anyway, this game was pretty cool. For its time, you know, everything has to be relative when you're rating a game. For its time, it was great. You know, the levels were a lot of fun. You got to jump around and swing around on rooftops and on buildings. The villains were pretty typical. You know, some dudes with guns and a couple of monsters here and there. The bosses were actually where the most fun was at, of course, for most games, I guess, too. The bosses are just a complete blast. The fighting was all a little bit rough. The fighting mechanics and, you know, especially like the bosses, you have to figure out like how to beat them, which is, you know, that's part of the game, that's normal. But I think one of my biggest complaints about this game and this series in general is just the movement and the controls. You know, you could use analog at this time. This was 2000, so analog controllers were already popping. And his moving Spider-Man and moving the camera is just god-awful. Like, you would have to face a direction for the camera to automatically follow you. You couldn't comfortably, like, move the camera while you move Spider-Man. And I know that 3D was barely starting off, 3D fighters and stuff like that, and semi-open worlds to be able to move around and fight, but it was just kind of bad in my opinion. I don't like it. Him crawling around, it's a little bit kind of difficult to master it on the D-pad and on the control stick. He would go one direction when you want him to go the other. It was a little bit weird to control, which is somewhat expected, but fighting enemies was kind of rough because maybe the enemy would be like right here and you're right here and you just want to punch in that direction, but you're facing this direction or you're facing that direction and you punch over here instead, or you accidentally fall off a ledge when you totally did not mean to. The controls were pretty bad. I would have to give the controls of the game like a 5 out of 10. It's just like, ugh. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't very fun. The voice acting was fantastic. I love the voice acting. Venom, Carnage, the other villains that come out. Spider-Man himself, the way it features like other characters, so much fun. But you basically do get your comic book action. You get your fix with this game for sure. It is a fun game, a little bit tough to play, but definitely worth checking out. I'm personally a huge Spider-Man fan. I collected the comics even from the 1960s and had the originals and stuff like that. So I adore Spider-Man. This was before the first movie came out too. So this was still more cartoon based back in 2000. So I give this game a strong 7 out of 10. Controls are rough, but the story, gameplay, and just the playability of it, it's just a lot of fun. And the characters definitely are a lot of fun. They did a good job. Could have done better, but I think they did great for being a first hardcore 3D Spider-Man fighting game or adventure game. 7 out of 10. Thanks for your time.